Hi, I'm Rob from Kimpex, joined here today by Franz from Liqui Moly. Franz, thank you for joining, appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So I have a question for you. What is the best products if I had a street bike?
So for street use, you see we have a selection of our street bike oils over here. The gray label, this is our street product, and this is more of an OEM level for street use. Full synthetic product, so very high performing product. And then you'll get it in sort of the typical grades that you would see in your manual. So for example, a 10W40 or 15W50, and that product is going to be for, I think, the vast majority of street riders. And then you'll see on the red label, this is our race product. So this is another step, a little bit more higher performing synthetic base oil, mainly in temperature. So for racing applications, we want to be able to handle high temperatures and maintain the health of the oil in those elevated temperatures. Now that doesn't mean that that oil is unsuitable for street use, because in this case we have a 20W50 for Harley Davidson, which also has that red on the label. It also uses that very high spec base oil because Harley Davidsons, tend to generate a lot of temperature in the oil. So it's more about temperature. We call it a race oil, but it's not only for the racetrack. It's also for street bikes that just put a lot of stress into the oil.
How hot do the engines get? Right.
Well, I mean, the racing application, obviously, we're utilizing more of the output of the engine for a longer period of time, and so the engine is cooled by oil, especially the top end, and so we might see temperatures well, close to the 200s in terms of temperature, and so a lower spec base oil just will not live. It will oxidize, and you'll end up with deposits, and you'll end up with loss of performance. So that high spec base oil can live at those temperatures, maintain its performance, and deliver sort of race winning performance.
And I also know that bikes today often have wet clutches. Could you tell me of how this oil, how would you know if that's good for your clutch besides the manufacturer recommended viscosity? What about the clutch oil?
Really, really critical. So the nice thing is on our label, we actually put the product information right in the very front here. So what you're looking for is JSO MA2. So JSO is for the Japanese manufacturers, but it's for all manufacturers. The Japanese just happen to set the standard. And then that MA2 is a test to ensure the friction value in the clutch itself. So this maintains the feeling and performance of the clutch and also the longevity of the clutch. Very, very critical. If you don't see JSO MA2 on that oil, then it is not suitable for a wet clutch, pure and simple. And automotive oils are not suitable for motorcycles. You will buy a clutch.
See, that's actually very good to know, because I've had people ask that question before. What's the difference between oils used for automotive, even if it's the same viscosity? And you answered my question with the fact that it's for the wet clutch. And if you had the wet clutch slip due to the oil used, that would not be a good thing at all, would it?
Not unless you would like to buy clutches.
I don't like to buy anything except toys. Besides the oil, what else for a street bike would you recommend when it comes to additives?
So a couple things in terms of maintenance. So always your first focus with maintenance is cleaning the systems, keeping the systems in their optimal condition. So in the case of, for example, our racing oil, which just happens to be, I'll just throw a little, it happens to be used in Moto 2, Moto 3. So it's a really very, very high spec product. However, in those applications where we get that oil really, really hot, we want to make sure we clean any kind of residue, any kind of buildup. If we have, for example, a street bike and we've gone a little extra on the mileage, or we've gone 2 up, we've done a big tour, and we know we've really worked the oil hard, we want to make sure anything that's built up over that time, we get it out with the old oil so the new oil doesn't have to deal with that stuff.
Sure.
We're going to use our engine flush. Engine flush is made of the same detergents that are in the oil. We just increase the amount of detergent for a very short window, about 10 minutes before we do an oil change. That gets all that stuff out, keeps the internals perfectly clean. And then I'm going to put in my injector cleaner. So we want to make certain that the fuel system, any kind of buildup of moisture or any buildup on the injectors, coming from poor fuel quality or just longevity, just time, We're going to clean that up. We're going to lubricate those parts. We're going to keep them in good shape. We're going to put an anti-corrosion coating over the whole fuel system. We're going to keep that in good shape. And then for the cooling system, anytime we change the coolant, we're going to put this in, same thing, to just clean up any residue in the cooling system, get that stuff out. And specifically for the sport bikes, we have a product called Speed Additive. And so Speed Additive, as the name suggests, is designed to enhance the performance of the fuel. It's not an octane booster. It just is helping with atomization. It improves the atomization of fuel and gives you a faster burn, gives you more cylinder pressure, gives you better throttle response, gives you better acceleration. Also cleans the system, so we kind of get double benefit.
Two-time positive, yeah.
Yeah, double benefit. So, you know, you might want to use that injector cleaner, but then again, you say, I got a sport bike. I think I want to get a little bit better go as well.
Faster than my friends, right?
Absolutely.
As I understand it as well, it's very convenient because these are a one-shot deal, right? You open this, you pour the whole bottle in. There's no measuring. Is that correct?
Dosed for one motorcycle.
Which I always love. So that's a great idea there. That's a great idea. Well, I think you answered my questions on how I should treat a sport bike or a street bike. Thank you again for joining us today. Much appreciate the information.
My pleasure.
And thank you for watching.